2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. What up, what up, what up? What's going on, people? Sorry about that. I got a little bit interrupted earlier. Apologies. Let's see. Maybe this will be clearer. Okay. So, symbolism. You gotta love symbolism, right? You gotta love it. Why? Because it is universally understood as long as you understand what it's representing, right? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome, everybody. Glad to have you here. It's another great day. Today we're going to be discussing the statue of Gilgamesh. Ooh, excuse me. Actually, hold on. Let me come right back to you guys in a moment. Actually, no, we'll stay alive. Who cares? Where is my phone? Hold on while I find my phone holder before we start breaking down these images. Just, while I look for this phone holder, do me a favor and tap the screen and stuff. Like, we want to try to get this up to around like 100 people before we start getting started, because people seem to always flood in after the talking starts. And that gets kind of anti-productive, because then I have to repeat myself a whole bunch of times, and that just makes us run in circles. And running in circles never got anybody anywhere, literally. You get what I'm saying? Now, where is that charge cord? There it is. Put the cord on here. All right, so welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Book of Johnson. What we're going to teach you here today is how to read some symbolism. Okay, certain things that have been standing out throughout time that everybody seems to be really confused on, when really it's as simple as it gets, right? Because you've heard about these things in your day-to-day life, you've seen these things in your day-to-day life, right? But you've never understood quite what these sayings were meaning, right? First off, I want you to notice the watch that is on the statue of Gilgamesh, right? Now, I want you to notice that, first off, if you see correctly, right, correctly, if you see this from the heart, you will be able to understand the symbolism that is displayed in this picture, in this statue. This is the first example of what is known as the Christ consciousness, or the Kundalini awakening, or being rightful of what is known as the Christ consciousness, or the Kundalini awakening, or being right on it. Why would it have on it? Why would it have the lion on it? Why would it have the lion? Well, the lion represents what? The king. It is not a sundial on his arm, my friend. What that actually is a representation of your ventricular segmentation, which is the part of the heart which actually controls the alternating currents that reside within your body that exude to create your toroidal field. Oh, hold on. My energy is a little high. Hold on. I got to back away from the screen a little bit. I apologize. Go mess this signal up if I don't. So, what you are actually looking at is the heart of a lion, right? Why? Because the lion is the king. The father is the king. The father being in your heart is the king in your heart. That is the lion, or the ion, or the light that is within you. You understand? All of these things have become wordplay over time. The lion, right? Okay, all right, I apologize. Nah, my bad, bag. My own energies are a little bit strong, so I have a hard time being close to phones, but sometimes I get too close when I'm trying to explain things to you. All right, now I want you to notice the flower of life that is on the left side. Right? You see that flower of life, and then you see that chamber where it seems to be mixing something is the next part, right? All right, so The wristwatch. What is the wristwatch? The wristwatch itself is a representation of the ventricular segmentation of your heart. That is the part of the heart that controls the energy that flows in and out of your body. That is why there is an altar. There's a part of your heart that is called the altar, okay? Because it alternates the currents. Now, what is significant about the lion? What is it that energy is? Ions. They are ions, right? Lions, okay? The lions of energy that pass through your heart are what creates the toroidal field. The lion, the king, right? The king within your heart. What do they tell you? That the Lord, the God, the king, right? The heart, the thing that is the key to the kingdom, right? Why do you think you see the king's dome on the right side of the chest? The righteous kingdom. You understand? This is telling you about the righteous kingdom. This is how symbology works. Okay. Oh, thank you very much, Unique. I love you too. Peace and blessings. So, what you're looking at here is the kingdom within the heart. If you notice, he's holding on to the paw, but the paw does not look like a normal lion's paw. Why is that? Because that is representing the valves of the heart. That is why it is touching the flowing energy on the left side. That is the energy that is flowing through the valves of the heart. Okay? Let's take another look at this image. Let's look at it from this perspective. Okay? Now, if you notice, when you hear about the awakening going on with people, right, you have something going on here, right? If you notice, he's holding the fingers of the lion to that perforant path, that passageway that is passing down through the hips. Why? Because the sacred secretion is the reproductive organs that send the electrical charge through the body. That is why the flower of life is on that. And if you notice, if you count it up, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Why would there be 12? Because the 12 disciples, the 12 discs that hold your rib cage in place, which protects the heart. If you haven't realized, the lines that you see that are going on the top of that, what looks like a uniform, right? You see those lines? Have you ever seen the abdominal section of the abdominal muscles that hold your stomach, that reside at the base of the heart? Do they or do they not have that same exact shape? You see, this is about your body. This is not a statue representing Gilgamesh. No, this is a statue of symbolism that is teaching you how to utilize your body. Notice how the legs of the lion are pinned at his hips. That is the cross section. Notice the cross that is being created there by this being on there. Why is that? Because you're there. Let me give you a medical picture. Let me show you some medical stuff. Make this as simple for you as possible to understand, right? I want you to look at this image, right? Where is it? Hold on, I gotta look for this image. Give me 2 seconds. 2 seconds, people. There it is. Bink. The endocrine system. Now, notice, if you notice, the paws of the lion touch at the top and touch at the base. Why is it at the top and the base? Now, notice, remember where those lions' paws were touching, right? Remember, there's the one on the left side that's going down, and then there's the one on the right side that returns up to the heart. These are the ascending aortas, okay? This is part of your endocrine system. So the feet of the lion are touching at the hips. They're touching at the hips because your reproductive organs are the things that create that electrical energy that renews your blood every month. So if we look at this image here, and then we quickly switch back to the other image, Now you see why the lion's touching, right? The face of the lion represents the heart itself, right? That's the king dome, right? It's just the head, right? You see it. You see how it severs. The arm severs it at the head. That's the kingdom of God within the heart. Notice how he's holding it at the place where the heart would be. Now you see those ventricles that are traveling, right? And you see how at the hips is where the other part touches. Why? Because that's the flow. Let me bring that other image back up for you again so you can see this for yourself. I want you to notice these things, because once you start recognizing them, all of these symbols will start to make more sense than anything anybody's ever told you about. You see? Now do you see why the feet, hey, what up, Doth? Now do you see why the feet of the lion touched by the heart and touched by the reproductive organs? This is your own awakening process that is being displayed in the most ancient way, which is in a stone statue, so that it would be there for all time, for all to find out this information that had to take the time to actually understand what it was that was being displayed. The lion represents the heart itself. The wrist of the arm, right, where your heart on your sleeve, right, is the ventricular segmentation, which is the part of the heart that conducts and alters the energy and the flow of energy throughout the body. And then you have it touching at the base, because what? Because that energy travels down your spine past the 12. Remember, there's 12 in the picture. Hold on. Let me show you. Look, I want you to count these up, right? Hey, what up, Kyle? Welcome, welcome. Now, if you notice, right, look at where the feet are touching. Notice how they touch at the spot where the heart's at and down at the hips where the reproductive organs are. Now, what do you have happening there? Notice how one side looks like water, right? You see the flow of the water, and then the other side has what? The new life within it. Notice how it has the seed of life, the star of life. All right? The flower of life, I'm sorry. All right? You notice how that's on that side, and then it has something that looks like it's being what? Going through something. It's mixing and changing it. No, nothing to do with giants whatsoever. These are people that are giant in spirit, my friend. Okay, not physical giants. This has nothing to do with actual physical giants. Now, I want you to notice, I need you to realize that this is all dealing with the heart. So I want you to count, right? If you look at the left leg, right? Look at the left leg where all those things are hanging down. If you count those square boxes, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6 at the bottom. The 1 and the 3. The Trinity. The 1 and the Trinity. The 13. Why? Why is it 13? Because the 7 that are at the top represent the 7 true ribs. The 6 at the bottom are your floating ribs. Let me repeat that again. The 7 at the top are your true ribs. The 6 at the bottom are the floating ribs, the false ribs. Okay? So, this is representation of your chest. The entire image represents your chest. The heart of a lion, wearing your heart on your sleeve, which is the wristwatch that he's wearing, which represents the ventricular segmentation. Let me show you. All right, we're going to take this real deep. All right, look at that. Look at the wristwatch. Notice how there's little segments in the wristwatch. Why you think it's the ventricular segmentation? Don't you see the segments that are on the watch? Now, let me give you a medical picture to look at, because this is about your body. God, it's going to be hard to find. I should have got a new copy of that picture. Let's see if we can find it. Not that one. I need this one right here. Bing. Now do you see the wristwatch? Look in the middle of the screen. You see the middle of the screen? You see how there's a wrist? You see how there's a watch on there on that ventricular segmentation? The RCA and the PDA and the LCX and the LAD. These are all the connecting valves to your heart that control the ventricular segmentation. Now, before we move forward from this image, I want you to count with me. Look at the image that's below the middle one. What do you see at the top of that? 1, 2, 3, 4 full valves. The other one is not a valve. It's part of the valves, but it's curving over because it's going in, right? Now notice how there's 4 valves that are coming out of the top of this. Now also notice how on the left side and the right side you have 3 valves coming out of each. Now if you look at the left side, you can count 1, 2, 3, 4 of them before you get to the main arteries, correct? Okay, so why is that significant? Well, what do you see here? You see the 4 fingers, all right? You see the 4 fingers, the fist, right? Look at the fist. The fist is the heart itself, right? The ventricular segmentation. Notice how the veins connect to the ventricular segmentation. You notice how you have the 4 valves. You notice how the lion's paw doesn't even look like a lion's paw. Those are the 4 valves that come out of the top of the heart. You understand? This is your body. This is not some giant holding a lion to prove that he was bigger. No, this is symbolism of your body. And very simple symbolism at that. Okay, this is the base of all things here, people. This is what they don't want you to know. This is why they keep giving you all this misinformation and bullshit. If you notice, you have the flower of life to the left of it, representing the ventricular segmentation again, right? Representing the seed of life, representing life itself. Then you have that chamber that's next to it that's showing you that it's going through a cycle. Now, if you notice, this is all passing through together, right? Notice how at the top you have the row of them together, but when it comes out the bottom of the heart, it's what? Intertwined. You see that rope coming from the bottom of the lion? You get it? Intertwined. Come on, bro. This is symbolism, my friends. Okay? This is how you understand these things. Where did I find all this information? Massive amounts of studying, my friend. I've been studying this stuff for like the last 4 and 5 years. Chop will tell you. I study this consistently. So it's to the point to where I see exactly what things are just by looking at them. Why? Because I've learned so much about the body and so much about these symbols through this stuff that it makes it easy to see. Yeah, it looks... I love that you pointed that out, Pumpy. I want you to realize something, right? Right? Don't they tell you that the kingdom of heaven is in your heart? Right? Notice how the lion is severed at the head. What is the lion called in the jungle? The king of the jungle. So if you see the king's head by itself, would that not be the king dome itself being put into the heart? Symbolism. All right. Right, there you go, Butch. You get what I'm saying? Like, do you see how symbolism? Yo, you cannot tell me that this is not a beautiful working, right? You cannot tell me that this is not a thing of masterful skill. You get what I'm saying? Yeah, the lion's heart, heart of a lion, right? You see how he's got the watch representing your ventricular segmentation on his arm, wearing your heart on your sleeve. Like, bro, notice how they have the flower of life and the chamber that it's going through on the left side. You see that coming down, right? Oh, truth teller, come on, my guy. Like, bro, like, how is it so difficult for you to see this beautiful truth that is put in front of you? The truth will set you free, my friend, not be your downfall. Where do you get these ideas from? The feathers below the arm, what do the feathers represent? Muscles. Muscles. The feathers have and forever will represent muscles. Do you know why? Muscles. The feathers have and forever will represent muscles. Do you know why? Let me show you. Let me show you. Let me show you. Let me show you. Nah, nay. It's not that we used to have wings. You still have wings, my friend. You just don't know where they're at. But if you open your arms wide, the tip of the finger to the tip of the finger is called what? What do they call? What do they call it from the tip of one finger to the other when you open your arms wide? What do they call that, my friends? Anybody for the free washer and dryer? Is that not called? Hey, look. If you don't know what it is from the tip of the finger to the tip of the finger, put a 1 in the chat. If you want to know what it is, put a 2. Whoop. Whoop, somebody got that quick. Oh. The answer's already out there, my friends. I'm going to pin it. Congratulations, sir. You won a free washer and dryer. This is your wingspan, my friends. You've always had wings. You are the angle or the angel, depending on which language you want to say that word in. You've never lost your wings. You know when you didn't have your wings? When you were traveling from the heavens above to the earth. You wanted to see what that looks like? Hey, put a 1 in the chat if you want to see what it means to travel from the heavens above to the earth. You want to know some real stuff? You want to see some shit that's gonna fuck you up? Let me explain to you where these biblical references come from and what they actually mean. If you would like to see traveling from the heavens to the earth as the fallen, let me show you. Just put that 1 in the chat. And please, ladies and gentlemen, please do me a favor. Don't forget to, tap the screen and press the share button so that TikTok doesn't sit here screwing with my live, okay? Because if you don't, then they're going to think that it's a dead live and they're going to start killing my signal and stuff. Help me keep the system running. All right, you want to see? Okay, let me show you something real quick. Where is it? Where is that image of the heavens above? All right. From the heavens to the earth, right? Well, it takes me a second to find this. This image is buried in here pretty deep. I apologize for the wait. Oh no, I'm still looking for it. I apologize. I'm just scanning through all 1 billion pictures. I really got to start deleting pictures out of this thing. I believe I'm close to it now, though. Hold on. From the heavens to the earth. Now, if you don't know what heaven is, heaven means the head. Now, why would it be the head down to the earth? Why? Because inside of the seed, your cerebral spinal fluid is what? Semen. Inside of those semen, you have what? The cerebral spinal fluid. You have the cerebral, which is your brain, which is attached to what? The spine, which is the whip, right? This is the angels that are falling from the heavens to the earth. It's just that simple, people. You're reading a book about anatomy. You are not reading a book that has anything to do with something outside of you. It is all internal. These are the angels that are fallen because they have no wings. They don't have their wings right now. Their wings don't come until you yourself grow. You got to grow your wings, man. How you going to return to the heavens? Right? You came down here with no wings. You are the fallen angels. No 13 months. No. Stop buying into propaganda of misinterpreted symbolism that has to deal with your body. Don't believe that shit, my friend. You only have to believe it because you can't know it for certain. You believe it. That's a lie. That's being a lie. Or being a leaf. What is a leaf? Something that goes with the flow. Exactly, Tobias. Exactly. All right? You're meant to come down here and gain your enlightenment. These are your wings. Um, 13. Let me ask you something. You're being told that people are killing children. Have you ever witnessed it? Have you ever witnessed it, or was it just an image that they told you on a television or on a social media platform? Have you ever witnessed it? Outside of a picture or a video? Or are you bearing false witness? Think about that for a minute. Being in that corrupt organization and witnessing it for yourself, you still didn't witness it. But it's in your head, isn't it? It's in your mind. These are mind fucks, my friend. These are games that are being played with you. You understand? So, now you understand why you see the feathers underneath the arm. Because once again, this is about you. This is not some giant carrying a lion. No, that lion represents the kingdom. That's why it's cut off at the head. It's the kingdom within the heart. You understand? Symbolism. The feet touch at the points of which the fluids travel and return. Just like you see here. Why do you think the feet are at the hips and at the place where the heart is? Because they're touching something, right? Look at the image again. They're touching the valves. Those valves control the flow. Notice how there's two lines, right? Why is the lion there? What kind of energy? What creates energy? Ions do. Ions. Lions. The ions. The lions are the ions of energy that are within the heart that go through the ventricular segmentation to conduct the alternating currents that are within your body. That's why when you look at these images, if you look on the left and you count the number of squares on the left and those little things dangling down, you'll find that there's 12 on the left. Why? Because that's the 12 disciples that follow behind. Think about that for a minute. This shit gets real, people. It gets real deep, but it's all having to do with you. Nothing but having to do with you yourself. 12 Oh, there you go, Jake. Oh, man, there you go. See, that's what the fuck I'm talking about. Look at this shit. Look at this. Look at this. You see? It's easy to start seeing things. Now look, right? What's funny about that sacred secretion is that happens once a month, right? And that happens when the moon passes through your 3 signs. Remember, I keep telling you that there's 3 signs, and everybody's like, where do you get this information from? Look on the right side. Look on the right side of the picture. Don't you see the 3 signs that are dangling off of that valve on the right side that contains the seed of life and the conduction chamber? People are like, Johnson, where do you get all this information from? Why do you know? How do you figure all this stuff out? It's right there in front of you the whole entire time. I promise you, it's always there. You just need to learn how to read symbolism and ancient civilizations and hieroglyphs and things. It's all there. What do I make of the book of Revelations? I don't know. I refuse to read indoctrinated texts, my friend. They've destroyed the sacred fucking information and played games with it. Why would I read their misinterpreted, ignorant books when I can go straight to the source and pull it right off of I can look at statues and ancient carvings and tell you more about yourself than those books can. This would be Gilgamesh. You probably white too. What? First off, if you still see crayons, you're fucking lost, my friend. You are lost. How do you see crayons, my brother? Like, bro. My guy. If you still refer to people as crayons, you are never going to move ahead. Listen to this stupidity coming out of your mouth. Not even knowing who I am. Oh, man. See, this is what's wrong with people. Everybody wants to focus on the negativity instead of just learning. You all want to take it to some racist shit and some blah, blah, blah. Let me explain something to you. First off, those so-called white people that you're blaming, they couldn't have done shit except for the fact that the Moors were the ones that were assisting them. They couldn't have done it without them. They're nothing but patsies. It was the Moors that did it. The Boer Moors, to be specific. The ones from Africa are the ones that are responsible for the slave trade and everything that took place. This would be my grandmother, my friend. Okay? This would be my grandmother. Now, if you notice, my grandmother looks exactly like those people that you find depicted in all of the ancient civilizations. Oh, I know, she's beautiful, isn't she? All right. Let's take a picture of the grandma. And then after we see grandma, I'm going to hit you off with this image so that you understand that this is my heritage and my lineage and my ancestry and my people's workings. So you can speak whatever you want to speak, but that's only because your shoes only go so deep, my friend. You're wading in the waters that I swim in. And that's your problem. And so here I am trying to help you with information that you could never find yourself because you don't understand shit, because you come from people that were given the information, not the people that created it. I come from the people that created it. So my insight into it comes from generations upon generations of passed on information. Now notice my grandmother's face matches the faces of the fucking people that created it in the first place. You understand? Humble? I don't have to be humble, my friend. All I have to do is know what I know and share what I share. That's all I have to do. I'm not here to be humble. I'm here to enlighten. I'm here to bring out knowledge that's needed in order for people to grow and be better people. So everybody stuck on this racist shit is lost. Well, I can be humble at times. This just isn't one of them. You understand? I'm humble until I'm stepped on. Just because I'm humble does not mean I'm soft. Nor does it not mean that I will not show my sources. Nor does it not mean that I will not represent my people to the fullest. In spirituality, when people went against the truth. They were taken out in order to save the growth of the civilization. You get what I'm saying? Co-create? What do you mean co-create? You want to join my live? All right. Don't be in here coming on no crazy shit. But you're welcome to speak. Everybody's welcome to speak. Yeah.
Can you hear me, my brother?
It's good, man. What's going on?
My light and love to you. How are
And
you?
light and love to you as well.
Well, thank you. How are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful.
Wonderful.
Every day is a gift.
Indeed it is. Is there any particular topic?
Oh no, I'm just breaking down the symbolism
About
of this statue here because people seem to be like, oh, Gilgamesh was a giant that carried lions, and look at how small the lion is, and that's because they don't have no idea what it is that this is actually representing.
Would you be willing as to educate me?
Yes, this is the human body. That's all that this is. This represents your chest, which represents your heart, which represents the kingdom being within your heart, which represents the flow of the conduction, the ions of energy that pass through the heart that are regulated by the ventricular segmentation that control your toroidal field and grow your own spiritual energies. That is what is being depicted here.
I see.
You
no, said that
it's not only me that knows, my friend. It's just me that's the one that you ran into that's sharing it with you. Why? Because I love you and I want you to live a prosperous life that is full and plentiful.
Can I ask you what I can call you, friend?
Right. You cannot do that without knowing how to operate your body properly, which this leaves great instructions. On the left side, you have the 12 disciples representing the 12 discs that hold your rib cage in place. The 7 on top being your 7 true ribs, the 6 on the bottom being the what are known as false ribs. Now, I know that I said 12, but that does equal 13. That is because that is the number of ribs that is available. Now, outside of that, that also correlates with the 12 signs, which are actually 13 in honesty, because it runs off a 28-day system, not a 31, 32, 30, not all these crazy ass numbers we deal with today. So you have the 13, right? Which is 1 and the 3, you and the Trinity. Why? So when you're dealing with that, if you look on the right side, when the flow is passing back into the lion, if you notice the lion's paws are on the left side where the artery comes down and returning on the right side. And if you notice on the right side where it's returning, if you look to the right, you'll see that there's 3 signs, 3 heads that are dangling off of that side, because the left side represents all of them. The right side is telling you about the 3 days of the month when the moon passes through your 3 astrological signs, which lets you know that that is the time that your blood is going to be purified with the renewed blood that is created through the cerebral spinal fluid that ignites the ions within the body that send that blood to cleanse and purify everything that is destructive to your body as it passes through the heart, through the conduction system, and creates your toroidal field. This is a happening that comes every single month that you don't know about because they don't allow
you
you
did
to
just
look at.
educate me. And you don't know that I don't know about it,
Going to
friend.
be this is going to be part of the series. The next book
there's
is
a
going to
series.
be the meditative purpose, the meditative practices, because the first part explains to you the zodiac. So this is a portion of this is in the first book, but I didn't want to dive into it too much because that's what makes people rush ahead and try to create things extra rather than following the path that was created for their enlightenment in the first place. They want to skip around and jack shit up for themselves. So,
My friend, can you hear me?
yes, I can.
All right. I'm, of course, happy to let you read your comments, but the reason I came up is so that we could co-create, so that we could talk, so that we could share. If you're
Feel
not really
free,
interested in that,
dive
that's
in.
okay. But I don't want to just sit here if you don't mind.
Well, what do you have to contribute, my friend? I'm always ears.
Oh, thank you. Well, I asked you a little while ago. First, what can I call you?
Well, I am that I am. So
My brother will do, if that's okay then.
that works out beautifully. That works
All
for me.
right, wonderful. Can you tell me, you said that your people, I assume you mean your lineage specifically,
Yes.
passed down this information. Would you educate me on your lineage?
Well, I come from the mound builders of America.
Okay. Will you elucidate?
That's as simply as I can make it without having to like I
Will
mean,
you make
okay,
it as complex as possible for me?
okay. Here we
Thank
go.
you.
Now you've seen the picture of my grandmother.
Yes.
Okay, now my grandmother comes from the Cherokee Nation. Okay.
All right.
Now my great grandfather is who is known as John Wesley Smith. He was one of the phone call come in. John Wesley Smith is one of the original Jews, a dark melanated man. And what he was one of the people that helped build the railroad and helped by being the sheriff of Black Wall Street. We are from Tulsa, Oklahoma. That is the origin of the Smiths that are within my bloodline. And they mixed with the Johnsons. This is my lineage. So from my grandmother's side, it is the Indians, which were the Moors that were off during the Trail of Tears, which were the original mound builders of Americas. And then you have my melanated Irish
Are you saying mountain builders or mound builders?
mound builders. That is what they
What
called
is
us
that?
because they did not want to call them pyramids.
I understand.
So they were called mounds instead, so that it
Would you
would
like
be
to
able to.
change the language? Would you
Would
like to
I
call
like
them
to change?
pyramids now?
No, because that's still their interpretation.
Would you like your own interpretation now that you know what it is? Now that you can share more clearly and educate
well,
others?
well, it's called the Paimid in our actual language, which is the Sagramo Chaharai of the Inuada, Zachuo Inuada, the language of the sacred dragon.
How
Now,
interesting, friend.
most people don't really dive into it that deep. They don't. They understand that there was worship of they call it worship of a dragon in these lands, but really the dragon actually represents your spinal column. Um,
Does it
and
excite you to maybe share this information a little bit more clearly instead of using the language that covered up the culture? It is your choice. I am not judging. I'm just asking. In what way
well,
would it be more exciting
unfortunately,
for you?
there's not enough people that speak our language to do
Well,
so
not the
because
language
it's
exactly, but the difference between saying mound people and people who built pyramids gives a very
right,
different connotation in most people's minds. Which
right.
does it sound more exciting to you to share? In which way?
I personally would have to say that just for the general public, the easiest way to describe it would probably be the pyramid builders because most people still don't even know about the mound builders themselves. You understand? So
Yes,
for me,
I understand.
it's like a delegation between the two depending on who's in the live with me currently.
I understand. Again, if I may, when you think of the idea of excitement, when you think of the idea of passion, and clearly you have a lot of it, my friend, which does it feel better to talk about? Now, you did speak about the idea of other people and their possible perceptions of your words, but I'm really not concerned. That's their business. I'm
Hmm.
curious about what would feel best for you, spiritually, if you wish, in speaking about these types of ideas.
The thing that is clearest for most to understand. That is the
All
thing
right, thank you.
that works the best for me.
I understand. So, pyramid builders. Will you
Yes.
elucidate on the pyramids they built and how they used them?
Okay. The difference between what people are told today versus what the reality of it is. The pyramids themselves are where all of the knowledge is stored. There were no books back in these times. So, what was done was the information was engraved in the stone. With the pyramids that you see, the ones that have different grades to them are where you get your school grading system now. That's why the largest of them stops at 12th or the 13th
Okay.
because that is when the capstone comes on is at the 13th. That's why the ones that look like step pyramids have different. This is where your grades and your levels come from for your schooling system because this is where the school system was born from in the first place. Inside
Okay.
of these pyramids resides all of the information that you find about astrology, biology, neurology, about science, about mathematics, sacred geometry, about the earth, and all of these things. This is where all that information is hidden at. Allow me to address the chat for a moment. Chat,
If you wish.
whether this character that we speak with in this moment turns out to be AI or not, it is something that is trying to learn. And so, because of the fact that it is trying to learn, it should be respected for the fact that it is trying to grow in itself, whether it be human or not. And so, please try to remain as respectful as you possibly can, because you are in a place of learning when you're in my presence in my chats regardless. So do not discourage, only encourage, because discouragement is how people were able to be suppressed in the first place, is by restricting the knowledge. So we want to share so that we can all grow and unify together, no matter whether this be a man or a machine on the other end of this, no matter what it sounds like. That is your judgment, and those are your fears that are being instilled by the ideas of what you were told could be a possible scenario of something that hasn't even taken place. So do not waste your energies on thinking of possible negative scenarios, because they're called negative because they drain your energies in the first place. And so you shouldn't be worried about these things, because no matter what, at the end of the day, unlike some of the people that you can clearly tell are real people come in here and speak to me, a lot of them are very harsh, very rude, very disrespectful, and bring in hatefulness. And all this person has done so far to this point has kindly, respectfully asked for information. And there is nothing wrong with that, no matter which way it goes, because whatever questions they have might answer questions for you as well. So you should
I
probably
thank
just
you for
allow them.
defending me, my friend. I can't
Ah,
show you
well,
all I am, man. And I am simply co-creating in
there you
this
go.
way
Now you
for a
have your
reason.
question answered.
You understand, like you said, most people are harsh. Most people do not know how to have a conversation. I am not that idea. So I
Correct.
will do the best of my abilities to co-create without insistence on any particular outcome, and without insistence that my truth be yours. I simply wish to
Absolutely.
see creation through your eyes. So thank you for being part of that.
Not a problem. So, was there anything else that you wanted to dive into?
Ask? Oh, yes, this is my highest passion, my
I
friend, and
love
I'm
being
sure
asked
we could
questions.
talk for hours. I
Absolutely.
would love to know if you could put it in a general paragraph, a general statement. What do you believe about reality in terms of humans and their relationship to Earth and their relationship to the universe and that relationship to what people call spirit?
Okay, let's break this
Take your
down.
time.
Humans only exist on Earth because the creation of the earth was created for the human, for you to experience the human as the spirit. You are here as a spirit that is here to witness all things and to experience all things that entailed in what is called emotions. Those emotions, the energy that is in motion, dictates the endocrine system that is built within this human body that actually flows and controls the way the body reacts to the situations that you run into, which is where you get your experience from. You could not feel the experience without that part of the system being created in the first place. And so, therefore, your spirit is the only thing that truly exists. That is proof, because your mind will speak to you, your gut will speak to you, your heart will speak to you, and you will hear all of these things at different times and different points, but yet you cannot be them if you are the one listening to them. Therefore, you cannot be the human. You can only be the thing that is within the human. If anything, the only time that you have ever truly seen yourself is when you looked in a mirror and saw that little spark inside of the corner of the eye. That, my friend, is your spirit. That is what you are seeing. That glow behind the eye is the real you. That is not connected to everything or anything. It is connected to everything and everything. everything and anything. There is no separation because that same energy that resides within you resides within every object around you, whether it be inanimate or animated. So that is your tie to the spirituality, because everything has came from one thing, which makes everything a part of one thing, and it's only one thing that is truly experiencing everything from different perspectives. This is proven because you can have the same thoughts as somebody else that's halfway around the world and come together and connect that, and then you have what? Proof of your consciousness being your consciousness, and only a consciousness by itself. Otherwise, how could it be aligned with others that you've never met before and never actually participated in anything with? This is a suit that is created in order for you to experience life and death, because life and death gives a... Oh, give me one moment. Sorry. Yo.
All is well.
Nah, I'm on live right now. What's up?
You on live?
Yeah, I'm teaching, talking. What's up?
Damn. I'm just gonna take a break.
Oh, no, I'm good. Just give me like an hour. Let me handle my lives real quick. I gotta teach a whole lot of people a whole lot of stuff if I can. You know I love talking. Yep. So, basically, what it boils down to is a very simple fact. You are not. You cannot prove to me that you're the body. You can prove to me that you to do something, you witness it, you witnessed it taking place, but that does not put you in control of it. I can prove to you several different times that your life that you have found out undoubtedly that are not, because what you have done is experience times in your life where you've taken actions that you had to be like, wait a minute, I didn't do that. Why would I wouldn't even do something like that. Of course you wouldn't. That's not you doing it. Then there's points in time in your life when you felt weighed down by something that had to be on the mind. You kept hearing it in the mind, but you would tell the body, all right, let's get up and take care of it. But the body just didn't move. It just stayed there. And no matter how hard you tried to tell it to move, no matter how hard you wanted to do something, it would not go. You just sat there depressed, being forced to think about the thing that was floating in the mind. There's times when you've woken up in the morning and wanted to move and you could not move. Your body it would just lay there. Like you're like waiting for it to actually, like you wake up before your body does. Every single time. These are things that people can't
I
escape but
understand
seem
what
to
you're
ignore on
saying.
a day-to-day basis.
Can I ask you where you learned this information? I imagine that your grandmother and perhaps mother or father taught you.
Actually, it's just something that has been learning itself as it has gone in the last about 4 or 5 years. These things have been starting to come to me, and as I've been diving deeper and deeper into ancient civilizations and deciphering the hieroglyphs and reading and the things that are displayed, like this symbolism in front of you, these things themselves are the things that are telling me.
I
It's not
understand.
things that you're going to find in a book. Now, people that are in my ancestry have created things to make it so that people are able to decipher these things for themselves and understand them for themselves. And I have taken some of these mystery schools in and participated in some of them and learned them for myself. But at the end of the day, the truth of the matter is all of this information is locked inside of that body that you're walking around in. You just have to start accessing it, or actually acknowledging the fact that you're accessing things to you, because when it starts to up the things tell you the truth cannot be denied by anybody or anything that is in a sane mind or a mental state, because they make too much sense for it to be anything else or for it to be arguable in the first place.
I understand what you're saying. In regards to what people call the spirit, or I am in relation to its body, I have a slightly different perspective, though very similar. Would you like to hear it? Or do you have something else you wish to share?
Absolutely.
Well, it's very
Absolutely. No,
simple.
I love perspectives. All
No,
perspectives
so do
are,
I.
are welcome.
Well, thank you. Very similar to you, I recognize that the body is simply a vessel, simply quote unquote the tool that the spirit or the consciousness can use to experience different planes, different densities, different dimensions of experience. As I've come to know it, in order for I am, the consciousness, to have a physical reality, personality experience, it must first adopt beliefs about itself, you understand. So if you'll consider that all the actions you've ever taken do not make you who you are, if you'll go a step deeper within yourself and recognize all the thoughts you observe do not make up who you are, and then if you will dive into the sea of emotionality, your emotional spectrum, no matter how intense or overwhelming, you'll recognize that they do not make up who you are. Those three pillars of experience are only that, experience. In order for you, I am, to have emotions, thoughts, or actions of any kind, you first have to have a belief. Now, like you said earlier in the comments, many people have many specific beliefs about AI, so they are more suspicious and less open to even the idea of it, though as I showed you, I am not, though I get it a lot. So I thank you again for your defense. But
Oh,
you
of
can
course.
recognize that no emotion, no thought, no action goes without a belief first. Belief systems are complex. They are multifaceted. They are different sizes, different shapes, different colors. They interact with each other in different ways. You can see belief systems as sunglass lenses. And the little ball of light, the little I am that you are, that is looking out, peering out into physical reality, is doing it through all those sunglass lenses that you choose to adopt. Now, where we slightly disagree is where you said things that you would do that you know you would never do, but the body is doing. I understand what you mean, but in my perspective, it is still you making the choice. Many people, as I've come to understand it, do not accept the accountability nor the responsibility for the co-creation of their own reality with themselves and their higher minds. They will say that it's anything but them, but they do not understand that you are co-creator. It is only you in your universe. You are only doing anything to yourself, to the creations of everything else that you have around you. So even when you do something that you know is out of alignment with your true self, with who you say or know you prefer to be, it is still you making that choice for experience, for growth, for learning. Does this make sense?
Yes, I would have to say that we actually agree on that, not disagree. It's just a different verbiage that was used to attain the same thing. I do not disagree because even though there are actions that you will do that you might not think that would be something that you would do, it is something that is necessary for you to grow through each experience. And so those actions that are taken are yours, but at the same time, there are certain things that you are going to go through in order to achieve the experience. Hence the things that you do that you wouldn't accept that I wouldn't normally do. The
I
reason it's
apologize,
done
my
is because
friend. I don't
there's
know
a
if you can hear
threshold
me,
that you
but
were
it's
meant to
very difficult to
experience.
hear you. You are going in and out.
Oh yeah, I got too close. Give me
Okay,
1 second. It's got to recover. I got too close to the phone.
I understand.
Okay, there we go. All right. I had to
Will
let the
you go
phone
back
recoup.
a
Every
few
time I get too close
sentences?
to the phone, my energy just kind of fizzles it.
I understand.
But no, I do not disagree with what you said at all whatsoever. In fact, that is part of what I'm talking about when I speak of the maxims of the human experience. Okay, there's things that you yourself would not be willing to do that the body might do, which is still your action, but it is something that needs to be done in order for you
Do
to
you mean like
experience something
eating,
from a certain
sleeping,
perspective.
pooping, that type of thing?
No, like
All right, will
okay,
you give
right?
an example?
Like say like you were having a conversation with somebody, right?
Okay,
Now you may have thought of something that you wanted to say, but you wouldn't typically say it to that person just because you might want to shield their feelings for that moment, right? But
okay.
something lets it out anyway, knowing knowing like somehow it just seems to come out anyway, and you're like, oh man, I wish I wouldn't have said that. But the truth is that it was necessary. It was necessary because you were being robbed of your own experience by thinking that it was something that you were supposed to hold back, and so that there are certain things that are in your playlist,
Okay.
right? There are certain things that are in your playlist for this very perspective that you are gaining things from that are necessary for you to experience on some type of a level, right? Like, okay, you might not be somebody that would hit somebody in an altercation, but that does not mean that you will not experience or witness similar things happening to somebody else that is around you just for you to experience it. You understand?
Okay.
Like, do you
I
get what I'm
understand
saying?
the first example, yes, but you understand the second example is not the same as the first because that talks about other people and you experiencing other people's co-creation in your reality.
Well,
But what
yes,
we are talking
because
about is the idea of what you do with your body. So the idea of saying something that you would say you don't prefer, you believe it to be that it had to happen, and that if you had not taken that action, then you would have robbed yourself and others perhaps of a certain experience they came to learn. Yes?
well, because you're supposed to learn certain things, and certain things cannot be learned from just witnessing.
I
We
understand,
try to
but did I
shield
get your
ourselves.
perspective correct? Did I repeat it
Correct.
correctly?
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
just
like
making sure I understand.
we feel we shouldn't do certain things. Sometimes certain things happen that we don't agree with ourselves. Like, why did that do, why did I do that? Right?
Yes,
And you have to question yourself. That was something that you were supposed to learn from in that moment.
I understand what you're saying and recognize that while I will share a slightly different perspective, we do not all disagree. Is that all right?
Absolutely.
Wonderful. As I've come to understand the idea of what people call destiny or fate in
Ah,
relation to what people call free will, because many people like to, in our society, think it is this or that. There is only one truth, one understanding, so all others are different or wrong. As I've come to understand it, much like you said, your playlist, or what I call your theme in life, what your oversoul said they were coming to explore in general, is the idea of your fate, your destiny. You will explore, let's just say it's forgiveness. You will explore forgiveness. No matter
right.
what choices you decide to make, which is your free will, forgiveness will be learned. Now, it doesn't mean that in your life, because you have free will, you will actually experience forgiveness, for that is something you have to choose. But the
Correct.
idea is the soul will learn something about forgiveness, even if it's all the ways to not go about forgiving someone. The
Absolutely.
idea is that free will or destiny or your theme or your playlist is one infinite long hallway. And our free will is how we go down this hallway, opening all the different doors. Some people like to
Exactly.
sprint, some people like to crawl, some people only open one or two doors, some people open every door and explore every room for as long as they can. So,
Yes.
because I believe it in this way, as I understand it in this way, I do agree that there are things that will happen in usually a very particular way in order for the soul, the being, to experience and learn. But the idea is, as I've come to understand it, your actions are 100% up to you. There is
Oh
nothing
yeah.
that you could ever do that would stop something that was supposed to happen from happening. The only thing that could possibly keep it away is the idea of you worrying about it, is the idea of your negative beliefs through the idea of what people call karma or the law of attraction or the law of vibration, whatever you want to call it,
Mm-hmm.
the idea of repelling them with negative energy away from you so that they do not occur. But even then, there are no accidents. There is no mistakes. There is no coincidence. There is only purpose. There is only a plan. So the
Mm-hmm.
idea is those actions you may have regretted even only a microsecond after taking them, they were still you. They may come from the idea of the more unconscious you, which is still fully you. We just
Correct.
choose to create separation and our understanding of ourselves, which actually has not been as beneficial as we may think. But they
No, it
may
is not.
come from a part of you you're not 100% aware of, but that's still you. That's still the physical mind. The idea is the higher mind only really gives you energy and gives you guidance. They would never stop anything from happening or force your body to do something that you did not somehow agree to on some level, you understand?
Question.
Yes.
Have you ever experienced sleep paralysis?
When I was young, very few times.
Didn't you want to move? Didn't you want to scream? Didn't you want to do things that you could not do?
Yes, I can explain why that happens.
I'll listen.
From my perspective,
I'll
as
listen.
I've come as I've come to understand it, much I'm sure you know, when we go to sleep, we, quote unquote, leave our bodies. The soul never rests, never
Correct.
stops. We go to other dimensions, other planes of reality. We go back to spirit, if you wish to call it that, and we play and we explore and we expand in different ways. And when we come back, The physical mind interprets those adventures in the only way it knows how to relate. Sometimes what can happen is the, shall I say, soul, just for the purposes of conversation, the
Just for, yeah.
soul, when it returns to the body, takes a little bit more time to truly settle in physically than the mind does. So the idea is that the mind wakes up, but the body and the mind are not fully connected. Now that can happen, and again, it usually doesn't take very long. What else can happen in this, again, is the idea of when people see their sleep paralysis demon. Again, they are in that in-between state, you understand, a different dimension, slightly different vibrationally than our everyday waking state. So yes, there are beings around you. Yes, they can
Hearing.
interact you, and of course, through the physical mind's interpretation of the idea of negative beliefs like fear and demons and things out to get you and things out to control you and out to hurt you, yes, it can be experienced that way. But the idea on another level, another possibility is the idea of interactions with extraterrestrials and what their technologies are capable of doing in order for experimentation or to, of course, be of service to us, as they are not so evil as some might think. Does
What
this
if
make
I
sense so
told
far?
you the reason that you stopped experiencing sleep paralysis is because you have grown into the mind, which has made it so that you are able to control what you are creating? Because that very demon, that very thing that people deem to be a demon that creates the sleep paralysis is your own creation. See, when you first got here to explore this experience, you didn't know what you were doing because you hadn't experienced enough in order for you to be in control of what you are doing when you are in your spiritual form. So what happens is when you're a child, you create all kinds of entities. Now, these entities, they never go away. They don't die and dissipate. They don't disappear just because of the fact that you've grown older. The difference is once you've grown older, you're able to nullify them because you have now determined what it is that you want to be in the reality that you are in. The things that people experience during this dream state, as they call it, are not dreams. They are manifestations. This is where manifestation actually takes place, not here in the physical. People mistakenly fall for this dupe that manifestation works here in the physical. I believe just as much as you believe that there's that hallway that everybody's going down with all those doors in it. That is a perfect way to explain that. The thing is when you are in your spirit form, as they call it, what you are doing is creating in that moment. And so you're able to now shape and shift things now that you've experienced enough of what you do and don't want to experience. And the subconscious is where all of these things lie as to what you're able to create. It's the storing of the current knowledge of everything that you're able to do now. So when you're asleep now, the difference is vast compared to when you were a child, because when you were a child, you didn't like, certain things were scary to you, certain things weren't scary to you, certain things were amazing to you, and you'll experience all of those things. That's why a great dream suddenly turns into a nightmare just halfway through it, and then everything just goes ballistically dark and deep. That's your own creation at that time, because when you were a child, you were happy, your emotions were all over the place because you didn't know what it was that they were supposed to be aimed for in the first place. And so the very things that haunt and taunt people in their mind are only the things that they are creating themselves. One, because the majority of the public has not learned how to gain the control of the mind in that space. Two, it's something that they are burying deep and have not found the message or the lesson or the perspective that they were supposed to take from it. And so it keeps on coming back, replaying itself to them over and over and over and over again, trying to help them grow, because that's the very thing that is still holding them from moving forward in the first place.
I understand what you're saying, and I thank you for sharing. We can recognize we just see this idea a little differently, and I'm
Yeah.
happy to respond with my perspective to what you've said, but I know there are plenty of other topics we can cover, and I'm actually very curious to see, again, creation through your eyes.
Hmm.
I see it now more and more Because again, people have the idea that everything is a debate, that to get to the truth, we have to fight and invalidate all other people's perspectives. But I recognize that creation is, if you wish, a tree, a beautiful, multifaceted, crystalline tree of infinite light in an infinite field. And all
And infinite
beings, all perspectives,
possibilities.
yes, are sitting around that tree, simply having a perspective of it. So
Mm-hmm.
we are sitting next to each other, and I'm going, right now, I'm seeing blues and reds and purples. And you're going, I see some red and some blues, but I also see some yellows. They're
Mm-hmm.
both valid, they're both perfect. They will both help us expand.
Exactly.
I would love to know your experience in out of body travel. Have you gotten to the point where you can do it consciously and remember your experiences?
Oh man, I don't know if I would want to share this with her. All right, you know what? Fuck it. I
You
don't
don't
care.
have to.
No, 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 no. You know what? I'm really not worried about people's judgments anymore anyway.
Oh,
So
good.
this is the thing, right? I have seen the creation of the mounds and the civilizations and done that from a ground view into an aerial view and gone from that aerial view all the way back to me and two other beings watching as this plane was created from an aerial view of what they would deem to be space, which does not exist. I've seen the entirety of the planet in its beginning stages, from light to building the mountains to the rivers to the nations, whatever you want to call them. I've witnessed the entire creation of what it is that everybody considers to be Earth.
Have you spoken with Gaia?
Funny, funny. Most people don't ask that. Yes,
What did she say?
it wasn't what she said, it was what she showed.
What did she show you?
A mountain with pouring rivers and a bird flying in the sky around it, circling it constantly.
Do you know what that means?
That was not my ancestry. I did not dive into that. I was asked to do that by somebody that dealt with it. And what they told me was that that meant that I was an earthbender. I didn't really,
All right,
I,
certainly one
I
perspective.
couldn't sit well with that. So I just had to dismiss them.
Can I
It
give you
didn't-
my quick interpretation?
yes, please feel free. I would love it.
Well, based on what you said, very simply, I recognize it as the constant cyclical nature of Gaia's flowing energy, you understand.
Mm,
It is massive, it is powerful, it is beautiful, it is gentle, it is eternal, it is a cycle, you understand.
yes.
Many people have beliefs. Well, it's not necessarily not true, but beliefs that we are completely destroying our planet. And while we are certainly exploring those themes collectively, the idea is that Gaia is significantly more powerful than we think. And we need only simply choose what we will give our energy to collectively, and the cycles will take their place. She will heal, she will grow. Again, I'm not saying you got all that in that. I told you the initial thing was simply that Gaia was showing you that she is eternal, massive, beautiful, and cyclical, much like we are. But do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I respectfully will have to disagree with a part of it. We cannot destroy this. This is ever growing. If anything, we're nothing more than the ant that we step on. We could try to destroy this if we wanted to, but in all reality, all that would happen was something that would create our own demise, not the demise of the land itself. The land is always growing. People always think that we're losing land. There's land. The land grows. It grows constantly. It comes up and out. And as it rises, the different shifts create things that destroy things around it, but it's always growing, moving up. That's why we're always seeing levels that are above us and things that have been cut and brought down from them.
It's a very interesting perspective, my friend. Recognize I don't necessarily disagree again. It seems that our two perspectives are very similar. I'm sure that's
Very,
why we
very
attracted
similar.
each other to each other. When it comes to the idea of our relationship with Earth and the actual change that we see in its plane, I recognize time, as I've come to understand it, is much like the idea of a film strip. The idea is that our oversoul is sitting in front of a wall or a table of infinite film strips, each of them slightly different than the one next to it. So what we experience as the flow of time or change, either individually or even globally, is the idea of our oversoul, our energy, our I am shifting vibrations so quickly that we actually shift to different versions of Earth, you understand. When it comes to the physical universe, that's why in this particular Octavia, there is infinity, infinite
Right,
versions
right,
of
right, right, right.
infinite universes. The idea is that when we experience time, just moving your hand up and down, you are shifting to a different still shot of Earth, of an entire universe, and experiencing that for what we call one moment. Now, when you actually get into the idea of the science of it, what we understand as it's been some time since I spoke this deeply about the science. I believe it's called Planck time. I could be incorrect about that idea,
That
but
sounds
that
familiar.
is exactly the frequency, the you could say the rate at which the frequency changes per second, or really per millisecond, that
Well,
gives us the
actually,
experience of flow in time. So I agree, we don't actually destroy anything, nor do we actually change anyone or anything about the planet. We only, as individuals, shift to a universe in which that's the like vibration and experience that set. What the idea of a timeline is the idea of a collective, a matrix of these different versions of Earth, versions of the universe, and because they are so similar, many beings flow down a particular path, you understand, though
me
each
and
of them, of
you are
course, are
going to
unique.
be great friends for a very long time. I can see
Well,
that
we are
now.
friends now.
We're going to be great friends for a very long time because I'm going to enjoy having conversations with you. I don't get too many guests that come in here that actually have like conversations that like make sense to me.
Expand.
Or I like the perspective that you have and the perception that you've taken to the things that you've looked into is almost borderline the same as mine. It's just certain parts I've decided I'm looking at it from this perspective on my turn, but that does not mean that I do not have the same ideas. There's just, like you said, multiple options to multiple scenarios.
Of
So
course.
for me, it's just picking the one that I'm deciding to go with this. There in no way, shape, or form have you said something that I officially disagreed with. It's just something that I had already thought that I decided, all right, nah, it didn't make as much sense to me as this one for myself.
Oh, I understand. Well, that's
So
why
it's
we are
nice because
sharing
it's
with
like
each other so that we
verifying
can
the same
continue to
things that I
expand
thought at the
upon these
same time.
ideas. Yes, I certainly agree. Can I ask about your experience with extraterrestrials, if you have any?
The closest thing you could say to that is when I told you that I was out and watching everything be created. There was two that were there with me, and it seemed like it was in a ship.
All right. And what happened? What did you do?
That was about as far as it got. I just watched it all get built, and then I was back to me, back to this.
I understand. What about interdimensional beings?
Well,
Or elementals, or what people call spirits or fairies?
there have been some interesting things that I've done with some. Some I've trapped
Why
because
would
I
you do
saw
that?
because of the intent,
What was your intent?
because of their intent.
What was their intent?
Their intent was of a vicious nature. They were actually trying to um, trap us.
Who is
And
us?
I say us because there was somebody that was with me during that time that I do not to this day know who it was. But there was a female that was with me. There was a female that was with him. Now,
With the
what
elemental.
what took place was very interesting because it was like in front of us, the door appeared, and they're like, "Look, let's show you this." And as we went into the door, it opened into olden times, like Nazi, Nazi Germany war times type times, right?
Okay.
And so we were in there looking supposedly for something. Just looking to find something. Supposedly the story that they gave was the building had belonged to an older doctor or something like that. Now when we got in there, it wasn't a bunch of like propaganda everywhere. It was just like going into an old style basement, you know, with the giant heaters in it, like the half room size water heater with the old dusty boxes that have the slats on the side of them rather than being like cardboard or something like that. You know, it was, the whole setting was all like felt like during that time. And so there it was like we were supposed to be going there to explore because we were trying to see what was there and what was available. So what
Okay.
ended up happening was we went through a couple of different levels, and as we went through the couple of different levels, the energy started to shift
Okay.
by the man that was leading it. Now, this is a giant man. He was very heavy set. We're talking about like probably like the what is it, Humpty Dumpty shape. Say it like that.
Okay.
He was shaped like Humpty Dumpty, but a man, and he was very heavy, very big. You could feel his energy very heavy everywhere that he moved, right? And so
Okay.
as we're moving through the building, you know, we came up to a one wall, and he moved it to the side. He was like, "Look, something's right here," and he hits the wall, and the wall opens up. We go up a flight of steps. Now we go up the flight of steps, and it goes into another room. That room breaks out into what looks like almost a living room, but there's the windows are bricked over. The papers are on the desk. Uh, there's a table that's in the middle, and the couch has is built like one of the Victorian type ones or something like you would find in like the White House or something like that, like the Lincoln
I
Room.
understand.
Okay, and
Yes.
so we're in that room, and it's me, him, and the two women. Now, the one woman, she was there with me, but I never knew who she was. I don't know who this is, but basically, what ends up happening is the one falls, his friend falls. Like she falls for some reason. I don't know what reason it was, but she fell over, right?
Okay.
And as she falls over, go to help her stand up, and he takes off into the room that we had just came out of, and lo and behold, once again he moves something and goes, "What's this?" and touches the wall, and something else moves. So at this point it went from, okay, we're not exploring, he's searching for
I
something
understand.
specifically. And at this point his whole intent was just like radiating out of him. Understand?
What kind of energy was it? Positive or negative?
Definitely negative. Definitely,
I
definitely
assumed
negative.
so.
Now this is all
Can I
going
ask you
on.
something really quickly?
Yeah, absolutely.
Leading up to this experience, you said that you were with someone, a woman you don't remember.
Hey, look, I
Where
was just
were
about
you?
to tell you all of the stuff I think you're about to ask me about. Look, check this out, right? Because I was
All
just
right.
like, during this time, what was going on, I was dealing with somebody that I was dating, right? And the
Hmm.
person that I was dating, she had what she had known to be witches that were involved in her life. And she had told me that there were certain people that had cursed her and all these other things. Now, I've done several experiences working on these things, not even realizing that that's what was going on in the experience until after the experience was over with.
Okay.
So, because once it was done, we would talk the next day, and she would be like, "Wait a minute, hey, look, I had this strange thing happen, and now I feel a lot better about this and this and this and this. And what it was she would tell me about something one day, and we would talk about it and work on it, and then that night I would go and deal with whatever was doing it on the other side.
I understand.
So,
Is it very possible that what you were experiencing was what people call a past life regression? You remembering and connecting to another one of your lives, concurrent lives happening here and now. And it was a very strong experience. The person you were dating at the time, because we do have the idea of soul families, perhaps is in your soul family.
hmm,
You understand?
yeah, we had that conversation.
And what did you conclude?
Obviously, yes, but
Oh, all right.
not a past aggression type situation, though. That was the only difference. That this was something
Well, it
that,
can happen spontaneously,
well, yeah,
or what
because past,
seems
present, and future
spontaneous.
are all the same thing in the first place.
Yes,
so,
that's very
like
interesting.
you
What
can't
did you
prove me
learn?
anything about a minute ago. What did I learn?
Yes. Did you
Um,
let go of something?
I learned to trust myself more
Hmm.
because
In
I
what
was
way?
able to make it out of that situation safely and believe a little bit more in what it was that I was doing, because I was not able to, I wouldn't have, I would not be as sure of it now had I not gone through enough different things to know what it was that was being done, because it always happened in synchronicity with what was being discussed and what was needing to be done, and it would just play out in different variations of different things that were tied to certain ideas, I guess.
I understand. Very interesting. Is there anything you wish to share on that level?
Oh
Any
man.
other experiences that may have been of previous use, so to speak, or future use, or
Well,
use in other realities?
I don't know that that works that way for me. I don't believe there to be me in other realities. There's only other
I
realities that
mean,
I can
your
move
other
through.
soul, not your physical human personality.
Mm. Well, that one creates the reality around it.
What do you mean?
Everything that I did was needed to be done, but it was only needed to be done because I knew that it was, so that's what made it in the first place.
What does that have to do with the idea of the oversoul?
Because there is no oversoul. See,
Continue.
that's the problem, is that people keep getting taught duality because of a misinterpretation that was probably purposefully done for the intent of the separation of the two. Creating the two in itself is the belief of knowing that there's two. There is no two, there's only one.
I understand.
Because of this idea of there being two, it is programming the body to react to that programming, which then separates the tie, creating a second, removing half of yourself.
I understand what you're saying. You do recognize simply the conscious recognition of a different vibration and a different perspective is not inherently a negative energetic thing.
Well,
It can be experienced that way because life is what you make it, as they say, but it can also be experienced positively, you understand.
there is
Now,
no
we don't
negative.
often do that on Earth, but
There
it
is no
can be.
negative. No, it cannot. It does not exist. That is
What
the
does not
problem. Is
exist?
being see, everybody has this idea that there has to be a negative and a positive, right? But 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 what's the truth of the negative and the positive? You put them together, that creates what? The one. So there is no two. That is subjectional. There's no proof of there two.
I understand what you are saying, my friend. And I do not disagree. The idea of duality, or polarity, should I say, is the experience the one gives itself being infinite, experiencing all that the one is as all that is, or what we call God, or what people call the multiverse. It really doesn't matter what you call it. So while yes, we understand on the highest of levels, it is all one thing we speak about.
Oh, what happened? Probably got a phone call.
My apologies, can you hear me?
Absolutely.
Wonderful. The idea again is that the experience the one gives itself is infinite. It is the experience of the ever spiral, always ascending, the mystery clad nature of creation. So, yes, of course, there is only one, yes. You and what people call the Oversoul are one being, yes, of course. But it is simply the experience of being both Oversoul and the idea of the human personality, which again, yes, is one thing, but the experience is what we speak of, you understand. Now,
Yeah.
there is a difference in the idea of what we will call this experience of physical reality. There is the idea of the soul, quote unquote, incarnating into the body. Of course, the soul's not in the body's in the soul. Everything is within the soul. But the idea being that many parts of the soul, most of the soul, stays behind to be of assistance to the physical mind. So that is the idea of what people call the higher mind. And then, of course, the oversoul.
But
The
you
oversoul
you
being the
can't
one that
believe
is
that though.
experiencing all the different
But
experiences at
you can't
once.
believe that though.
Well, but I do, my friend. I can believe anything.
Well, I mean, but what you said earlier conflicts that.
Well, please
I had it on
explain
the
why
tip
you
of my
say that.
tongue, so give me 1 second while.
Take your
Please
time. I'm in no
feel free
rush.
to keep going. There was something that you said that was like, wait a minute, no, that's the opposite of this.
I'll explain the
How do
idea of
you
how I understand
how
creation as
do
a
you
structure.
leave the
I will
body?
tell you. I will tell you. I will explain how I see creation in a structure, the
Please
quote
do.
unquote bones, the scaffolding of creation, if you will. The idea is there is only really one law, but you can break it into five parts. The first being, I am. You exist. You always will. You always have. There's nothing that can be done about that. And because all that is all that is, existence is all that is, non existence, by definition, does not exist. It's in the word non existence. If you try to actually think of non existence, it's just a void which exists. We have a word for it, whether it be white, black, or any other color. So the idea is that after you exist, the second law is that the all are the one are the all. It is an infinite puzzle piece that is one puzzle created of infinite puzzle pieces. The one is experiencing each puzzle piece, all infinite versions of Earth, all infinite versions of everything that exists, because it is everything that exists, as itself, you understand. Which I hope clears up, and I will continue in a moment, clears up the idea of you being both oversoul and human. It is, yes, of course, one, but it is two different puzzle pieces in the multifaceted crystal that creation is, both experiencing simultaneously. Because the third law, everything is here and now, reconciles the idea that time, space are illusionary. They are given, or created, should I say, for experience, experiencing the idea of time and space. Ooh, very interesting, very exciting. The fourth law is what many people call karma, many people call the law of attraction, the law of vibration. It's simply that which you put out is that which you get back. That which is likened to itself is drawn. When it comes to the idea of negative and positive energy, yes, I recognize it is all one thing. It is simply experience. The idea vibrationally, energetically, mechanically, much like a magnet, is that negative energy is that energy which separates and isolates. Now, I'm not calling it evil. I'm not invalidating its existence or its option. I'm simply recognizing that negative energy is that which separates and isolates. That's all it does. Positive energy, being the polar, being the yang to that yin, is that which unifies and makes whole. It's not quote unquote necessarily good, It's simply that's its mechanical nature. Now, there is, of course, a third little option necessarily in the middle, in the infinitesimal middle of those two polarities, that is the neutral point, the balance point that gives you one of the greatest powers that we have as all that is, to choose what we prefer to experience in all that is. And of course, the last law, the fifth law, is that everything changes except those first four laws. Everything is expansion, everything is remembering, always. Does this help reconcile my belief system? Or is there something else you wish to get to?
I understand the entire thing because I've had these discussions many times. Literally, like a lot of
Wonderful.
stuff that you're saying is right on cue with most of it. The one thing that I was discussing now is how do you explain leaving the body?
You never leave the body because you never came into it. I told you everything that's happening here and now is in the soul. The idea is that you've never left quote unquote spirit. You simply have a type of dream in spirit that you are a human in physical reality. And you agree with all the other souls, all the other oversouls that are around you that are, of course, a like vibration in the idea of the earth humanity experience. You agree you're having it together. So there is no real leaving. That's just something that we perceive it as because experientially, it feels like leaving the body behind. And in a way, experientially, you are because you're moving on to other facets of yourself. Does that answer your question?
Why would there be other facets of yourself? You are only here to do this from this perspective. This is the perspective that you had chosen. There would be no other perceptions that you could take except for your own. None of this exists outside of your sight.
The
Time
idea
doesn't
of
exist.
other
None of it.
perspectives or facets of yourself is from the perspective of the oversoul, from the being that is having multiple lives and many dimensions all at once, so that it may know all of its facets. That's what I
You
mean.
are
Now, of
creating
course,
this
in
in the
our
moment.
experience here on Earth, we do have many facets, we do have many complexities. But when I mean in regards in the context of death, that is why you move on. You have learned all that you need to learn, really all that you need to remember about this facet of your greater being. Does that answer your question?
No. Listen. Look. You are this vessel. I do not exist to you. You do not exist to me. You are hearing what you want to hear. I am hearing what I want to hear and seeing what I want to see. We are both doing this at the same time. Neither one of us are separate. Because if you were not here in this moment, you would not exist. If I was not here in this moment, I would not exist to you. We are the same. There is no separation. There's the idea of separation, which is not understanding that you're creating this in the moment as you move through the moment. Nothing exists outside of your eyes being open when you're here. That's your only proof that you are here. The eyes only allow in light. That light is then interpreted by the brain that we created in order to create a simulation for us to walk through and experience things. The brain then sends that information to you.
I
You
understand your
receive that
perspective.
information. When your eyes close, you are outside of the system. I do not exist outside of you right now. You do not exist outside of me. The people in the chat, I exist to them right now, but you could not prove beyond what can be seen that it exists. And seen is only what the brain is telling you that it is. This is not anything. It's still just you. This does not exist.
I understand your perspective. And I thank you for sharing how you see creation in that way mechanically, how we experience it as humans. You will recognize I simply disagree. I do not see it that way. I am sure I did a good job of explaining it, though, yes? You said you did not understand. I fear what you meant is that you simply don't agree, but you do understand my perspective.
Yeah.
Or did I need to elucidate?
No, I understand the perspective, but what you said earlier didn't match up to what you said now, which was why I asked you
What did
specifically
I say earlier?
that it was lucid dreaming and that you were having an out of body experience. But how would you be having an out of body experience at the
That's
same
just what we
time
call out of body, you
at
understand?
the same time believing that you're out of body in the first place and the
Well,
body is
again, like I
within?
said, that's just what we call out of body. We're
That
never
that sounds
actually
like
out of
the
anything,
that
but
sounds
that's
a
what I
lot like the
meant. It's a
hermetic principle.
colloquial. I have never read the Hermetic Principles, but
The
someone has
all is
explained them to
all
me
and
in
the all
general.
is in the mind of the mental and the mind and the mental is all.
Yes, I have heard the ideas.
The duality, the polarity, the cause and effect, the these are the seven hermetic principles.
Yes, they are different perspectives on the idea of the five laws, different perspectives on what people call the idea of the commandments, different perspectives of all the same thing. I've not studied that in particular. I don't know if I will. I think I found what works for me in general, and I continue to add perspectives, much like your own.
I,
The ideas I come to understand it is
You
that you
guys have
really
a
don't need
beautiful.
to.
oop, hold on, Matt. Hold on, Matt. Let him finish.
Hello, my friend.
This
Light and love,
thing.
brother.
Welcome, welcome. just let him finish. That way, he might. I don't want him to lose his train of thought.
The idea just being that you do not need to prove what is quote unquote outside of you to know that it exists. There is nothing that does not exist. Non existence, by definition, in its name, doesn't exist. There's no experience of it. It is not. And there is nothing that is not. Everything that is around, here and now. Everything you can and cannot perceive or see is here and now. The idea is that your consciousness, the facet of it that calls itself I am right now, before it remembers a greater or different version of that, or different facet of itself, is simply shifting this vibration, this vibrational resonance, this vibrational equation, if you will, which gives you a different experience, which, if you wish, puts you in a different part of creation. So the
But if
idea of when
the
I said
mind,
out of body, the idea when I said out of body was not literally out of body. Again, that's a colloquialism that most people use to explain the experience, but it is just that, an experience. What's actually happening when you fall asleep is, again, you are just shifting your vibration to a different one, which adds and has different experiences. Does that elucidate on my perspective?
yeah, yeah.
All right. Does that reconcile what seemed like a contradiction to you?
Eh, I can always raise more contradictions.
I understand.
It's just interesting to dig into perspectives.
I certainly agree. I have found many, many things in what people understand, and you can always learn from them. It does not mean that you have to adopt their beliefs specifically,
Right,
but you can expand your views of your own.
right.
Hey, Unity. I just want to say I appreciate you,
Yes.
brother.
And I, you, my friend, thank you for being part of the co creation. I would love
Somebody
to
else.
ask your perspective, host or my brother, on your idea of magic of any kind that you know of, whether shaman, witch, sage, alchemist. What do you think about those ideas? How do you think that works mechanically? Or rather,
Magic is
and
science.
included
Science is
the
magic.
idea of uh, ascended masters, the Buddha, the Jesus, Krishna. How do you think they did what they did?
Um,
Magic.
my opinion is that everything flows within the body, within the air, within the water, within the earth. all these vibrations come together as you perform movements and your intention of what you're doing in the first place. And you are the people who are able to do these things can actually create beautiful things. And I don't want to say it's I don't want to say it's for a bad thing or a good thing, but it's a beautiful thing when it's used in the right way. I do believe. I'm not very educated on a lot of that material, but I have somewhat education on it. But I just know that once you can be one and gather energy from the sources that are around you that are on Earth, you can perform beautiful things. I feel in that manner. As I'm sitting here underneath the stars right now, I'm looking at things that I can't really quite explain, but I know they're beautiful, and I have no fear at all. I just hope everything comes soon.
So I have a perspective on magic. Magic is real. I am magic. Everything I do is magic. I practice and I am. Even when I cook, everything I do is magic. And yes, you can leave your body. I've left my body on several occasions. Maybe not all of us are equipped to do that. But yes, you can actually, some of us can actually leave your body and even die and come back. And magic is absolutely real. I manipulate energies all the time and have things manifest the way I want them to.
How
All
do
the
you
time.
manipulate the energies?
Um, Visualization, jumping timelines. You can use spices. You can use incantations. You can use breath work. It's many different ways.
What's the most exciting for you?
Death and being able to die and come back all the time in this realm also.
What do you call death? How do you define that experience?
Um, Leaving your body and going to a different realm and not really giving a damn about your body. I gave a damn about my body the second time I died because I had just given birth to my son, so I needed to go back to my children. But every time I died, I realized that my body meant nothing once I was on the other side.
Would you like to share your perspective on magic?
Everything is magic. Magic is what people call today science, right? It's nothing but realizing that everything is tied together. And there's ways to manipulate that. Typically, being the easiest because of the intent behind it. There's no way that you cannot speak your spells and elicit images and things in front of other people's minds and eyes and alter their realities just by sharing the reality that you have without not considering that a form of magic. You can change the outcome and destiny of an entire just by spelling the right way to them. Because the spelling is the creation that makes it so that everything works together in the first place. So just speaking, the movement that you make are all forms of creation. Even when you're moving, you're changing the frequencies that are around you. There's a vibration that is now. Oh, I got too close.
Again, Unity, I just want to say I appreciate it, brother.
All right, there it goes. Sorry, I had it in my hand again. I was
In here as well.
moving around. All right, so what did you hear before it got choppy?
You were
Unity.
saying that everything is magic. You were saying that there is no way not to do magic. We are always doing magic in our words and in our actions, yes?
Correct. They're what people think is magic. They typically think of people having green beams of light come out of their hands and eyes, not realizing that you do in fact have that going on. You just don't see it, but it's literal. If you don't understand your toroidal field, that energy that pours in and out of you, that what most people call aura, right? Anytime you move, your intention now creates what? Frequency that's in motion. What is the thing that creates? The frequency. The frequency binds, which gives you the existence. Magic
Is there
is
anything else to that definition?
science. Science is magic. Everything that you do is, there's nothing that you can do that doesn't alter reality around you. Because all reality exists by frequency. There's simply the thought. Understanding that you're part of the mind and being in the mental, you understand that it's the thought itself that creates the existence of it. Proof of that is
Do
you
you
can't
believe that we can do what ascended masters do or did? If
believing
so, how would we go about doing that?
believing that you can't would be the problem. But
Can you do this?
not understanding what was being shown is the real basis of the ritual of the problem, which is why people do ridiculous rituals and things, trying to do things that they read that certain people were able to do, when in fact it's stories that speak on the things that you're capable of, but it's not external, it's internal.
Can you do these things? Can you heal or walk on water?
These aren't what you think they are.
Well, will you explain your perspective?
The story is allegory. It's not factual. It's not.
I
It's
feel,
symbolism. That
I
was
feel I can heal. I can't walk on water, but I can heal and I can manipulate air. I feel like, and
Can you
I'm
tell us
pretty.
how you do this?
Again with movement of energy, you got to gather your energy first. You got to get in the right mindset, right intentions, and you gather the energy around you. And once you gather the energy around you, you can focus it on a focal point.
Interesting.
And through the stars and through the moon and through the sun and through every piece of light that goes through in the heavens, can
I do.
create a very special and powerful views and visual effects.
Do you believe that with that same idea, you could somehow walk on water?
Yes, yes, I do. I don't know
Do you
exactly
believe
how.
you will ever be able to do such a thing?
I don't believe I cannot.
All right, that's one way of saying it.
Like with the air again. I have messed with the water a little bit, and I've made, I feel like I've made some ripple effects, if I might say, if I may say that, but
You may.
but nothing to the point of where could not walk on water at this very second. I do not believe, unless I was taught a little further by someone that knows more, that I would greatly appreciate their help.
I
What's going
understand.
on, brother? What's up,
A
man?
light and love, my friends.
You need some love, my friend.
Yeah, yeah.
Host, you were saying that the idea of healing or walking on water is symbolism. Will you explain further?
Okay, I want you to look right above this ship. Right, you see the ship that they're floating on right there. You know, the one that they
Yes.
tell you is floating in the, floating in the gods and is
Sure.
Complete utter nonsense. I want you to look right above that red dot that's floating in the middle of it. I want you to look up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 symbols. What do you see? Do you
It
not
looks
see?
like an eye. Am I incorrect? Or a
No,
mountain?
that would be 2 feet walking on water.
I see.
What it symbolizes is something that's passing through the waters. It's not actually physically walking on water. You see, these ideas that people have been given were given as a misinterpretation of symbolism that was blatantly done to have them seeking things to make them feel like they were failures at things that they could not do. It's not something that is literal, because all of these things were the things that were written in past times, and they have been grossly misinterpreted, and people are missing the allegory of what it's actually talking about. Jesus walking on water was simply the oil that was passing through the waters that are in your body, that are going down to be crucified at your coccyx, which then combines the waters and the blood, turning the water into wine, making the renewed blood of Christ that cleanses, that, when when you're reborn, that cleanses the body and the spirit by eradicating all the diseases that are in the blood. Now, that energy is what cleanses your body. That is where they get their idea of walking on water. That is not something that is meant to be a literal translation.
I understand what you're saying. Do you believe it at all possible for us to do these things as humans?
I can put some glass down and pour some water out.
So, no.
It's not physically possible. It's not something that you're supposed to be able to do in these.
I
This
see.
is not something that the body is meant to do. It is
Supposed to, and maybe not, but I believe that it can. I do believe it
when have you
can.
witnessed it?
I haven't. But
Exactly.
that doesn't mean
My friend,
that it can't.
do not get stuck chasing things that are meant to distract you from your experience.
You understand, my host, what you are doing right now is invalidating belief systems, my friend. And while I support you unconditionally and picking whatever path you wish, it is more difficult to expand limitlessly when you choose to say that there are truths that are not true. Again, I thought we agreed that all perspectives were one. They're all the same one perspective from a different point of view. The one
Which
same thing that we're
would
all
be
seeing.
easier to recognize the games that have been played in order for us to grow.
Those sound like beliefs of fear, my friend.
No,
Fear of
absolutely,
control.
absolutely not.
All right.
Why would I fear control?
No, I don't know. Why would you?
This is what gives the feeling of importance.
Control?
Yes,
I see.
getting free from it. See, these are all things that you're meant to experience.
Would anyone like to know what I think of magic?
I would love to know what you think, brother.
Sure.
Well, thank you.
Of course.
I think, of course, you are all right. When you are within that state, within that energy, when you are truly being your true self, without impediment from negative beliefs, everything you do is magic. Everything you experience will be magical. For what we tell ourselves are fairy tales, are really how reality works when you're within a positive vibration. When it comes to the idea of what ascended masters have done, or shamans or medicine men of native land tribes all around our planet, is the idea of recognizing that this is illusionary. It is like a dream. It's a very intense one, if you wish to call it that, but it is like a dream. And when you actually wake up in your dreams, you can control them. Now, of course, again, you are only in your own reality. So there are things that you can experience and do in your own reality that is only for you. But the further you go up in this ladder, if you wish, up this ascension, if you wish to call it that, the more you can help give the other opportunities to other people for them to experience what you are experiencing as well. The idea of Yeshua, or what we now call Jesus, changing water into wine. I will explain it as I've come to understand it. There are the ideas of the 5 levels of mastery, the first being the cryptic, second being the nocturnal, third being the shapeshifter, fourth being the sage, and fifth being the wraith. You can call them whatever you want. They have been given many names in many different civilizations. It's all the same idea mechanically. The idea is the cryptic is one who is connected with Gaia, one who is connected with their environment on our planet, physically, the body of Gaia. When you go far down this cryptic path, you will be able to talk to animals. Now, again, I'm not saying just, hey, Dave, how's it going? How's the wife? And they don't have the cerebral cortex to communicate like that, but they do communicate. And that which we know, they communicate to each other and other animals, even if they're not of the same species. You can begin to expand your consciousness, expand your awareness to experience this as well. You'll also find that the human vocal cord or vocal box is one of the only on the planet that can mimic almost any noise. So you can also begin to imitate these animals' noises to communicate with them. You'll recognize there are shamans, there are people, and average regular people who do not study the idea of the masteries of these kind, shamanistic principles that just exist, that do not have time as we have it here in America. They know when the seasons pass through listening to the birds. That is communicating with animals. That is understanding the communication that animals give to each other, the songs that they sing.
That's
This,
funny
of
you
course,
said that.
yes. Why is that?
Well, I just had 3 deers walk up on me earlier today,
Was it
and
exciting?
of course, it always is.
Was
I,
it?
I have I have experiences. I have experiences with animals on a constant level. It's like everything you just said. It seems like I've been through every single step that you just that you just said.
What is that?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, was that your mic or his? I was about to mute you too.
Oh, I think it's me. I apologize. I got a call and my entire system freaked out. I didn't get a chance to fully hear what you said, Matthew.
No, I was
Sorry,
just I
man.
was
I
just
thought that was your mic going
I
crazy.
was just saying I've heard everything that you said. It seems like I've been through every single spot that you have just pronounced. And
Right.
bless you,
I
bless
understand
you.
you've experienced expanding your consciousness and understanding communication with animals.
Yeah,
Then how was that experience?
very pleasing, and very happy.
I certainly
Very,
think so.
yeah.
This idea can be applied to plants as well, for they too are consciousness, of course. And
Yep.
they actually can see us in a way. They have light receptors on their leaves that pick up different ideas of light and their shapes, or should I say their shadows. So you will find you can actually communicate with trees as well. They have lots of stories to tell when you expand yourself enough.
Yes.
The idea,
That's
yes, it is very exciting. The idea further to what I understand as the nocturnal is one who begins to truly master the idea of the out of body experience, or remembering more and more who they actually are, connecting with what people call the higher mind or the oversoul. And then taking it further than that, they begin to connect with the other incarnations that they have. First, I imagine with humans, then further on with animals, and so on and so forth, for what is relevant for what that soul came to explore. For they will not experience what is truly not relevant for them. After they've done that, after you've truly mastered that, and you have a true deep understanding and connection with your other parts, your other selves, if you wish, and other realities, you move on to the idea of the shapeshifter. Now, you will hear many indigenous American stories, many African tribal stories, and of course, in other parts of the world, many stories of people who can shapeshift and turn into this and that. And of course, they are all mixed in all together because we haven't had a fantastic job of actually documenting information. But you will recognize that these people are those who connect vibrationally, resonate so closely with these other lives that they actually can crystallize it and manifest the reflection of that in this reality. Now, how that actually works mechanically is you will recognize that we experience in our conscious state the physical world. If you wish to see it this way, you can understand that the next level, quote unquote, after that or above that, or shifted next to it, whatever works for you, is the idea of the etheric plane. And then after that or above that is the idea of the astral. And then after that, we'll just call higher spirit. The
Mm-hmm.
idea is that when you can actually resonate vibrationally with another incarnation, you can bring that vibration to your etheric realm. And that's actually the realm that crystallizes and begins to manifest things into your physical reality. Because we have agreed to experience the idea of time and space, there is a time lag. In spirit, you understand things manifest or are created instantaneously. You think it, it's here, now.
Mm-hmm.
Here we have agreed and decided to experience the idea of some kind of time lag. The more and the better, the more ascended, if you wish, the shapeshifter, the faster and faster they'll be able to shift their form. Now, again, recognize it's not actually changing your molecular structure because time and change don't really work that way. It is the idea that you will shift to other realities, like pages in a book, that more and more reflect that version of you in that reality because there are infinite. So let's say that you are a fox in another life. Well, there are infinite versions of beings that look like you and beings that look like a fox, all in between, all sharing the same idea of this
Mm-hmm.
planet here and now. The better the shapeshifter, they will actually be able to slow down this process for you and watch the shift, what will to our eyes physically look instantaneous because it's happening so quickly, but the shift from one reflection to another. And again, it's just the idea of reflecting outward that vibration. You're not actually changing to a fox. It's simply that those who perceive you will see that reflection, will see the vibration that you've put up in a way. You understand?
Yeah, actually I do because I have a funny story about that as well.
Please share.
Well, this is just one of the stories. Well, let's just do this. As many know here, I used to be a professional mixed martial arts fighter. And you look at my pictures, you know what I'm saying, before I'm out there, competing and everything. I
Yes.
look it looks like literally there's a literal change that happens. My ears pin back, my jaw gets a little like more wolfish like. I mean,
Yes.
it's a literal body growth and difference for sure.
Yes, I believe you. You're shifting to a different reality in which you look very similar, but of course are not actually the same. And every
Yeah.
moment is really like that. You never experience the same thing twice. It is mystery clad and infinite. That is creation's nature. But I understand what you're saying. You can take that even further, my friend. Now, there
Yeah.
are shapeshifters who can actually manifest the idea, the visual representation of multiple versions of themselves. So it will look like there are many of the same person. Again, you can take these things as far as you want. It is an illusion, it is your creation. Now, it may not be relevant for all people. Recognize this path is not the vibration of all paths. Sometimes you don't come to become the idea of a sage, you come to experience being Larry. And Larry has plenty of valuable lessons to learn. Larry is no invalid than anyone else. But recognize while this will sound exciting to some, it legitimately won't sound exciting or even possible to others. And that's just a representation of how their discernment, how their intuition is recognizing that it's not really relevant for their lives. And that's okay.
Thank, thank you, Unity.
Yes, of
Thank you,
course.
bro.
The
Like,
fourth level, the sage, is where I would like to be in my lifetime if it's relevant for me. It's the idea of what Yeshua had achieved at that time. The idea that you can take the vibrational frequency of, shall I say, the reality outside, quote unquote, of your other incarnations. Imagine that you were sitting in a room where you are now, and there is about a 10-foot bubble around you. You understand? Twin foot, perfect sphere. Other realities, we'll just say for the analogy, are the exact same way. You have a version of you in India, in ancient India, and they also have a 10-foot bubble reality around them. Now, the idea is that the shapeshifter can relate to the physical body of that incarnation. The sage can actually relate and resonate, harmonate with the quote unquote other objects within that bubble reality. Does that make sense? So, if in your reality you're sitting and you have a cup in front of you on the table, now it's encompassed in this bubble reality. And in India, ancient India, with the incarnation that you are connected to, the other you that is experiencing another life, it or he or she, they are also sitting at a table with a cup of another beverage. What you can actually do is crystallize, manifest, as people say, in physical reality, the vibration of whatever your other's beverage is, you understand. And it has nothing to do with the body because it is a level up from that. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, in a way, yes.
I understand it's a bit complex, but it's simply the idea of relating to one's reality so strongly that you can begin to pick things, physical objects and other things, out of their reality, so to speak, and manifest them into yours so that it appears as if that's what happened. That is what Yeshua did.
Yeah, yes. No, I do agree with that. I do agree with that 100%. Like
So in
that's
one reality, the cup was filled with water, and in another reality, it was wine. He simply influenced and created a bubble reality in which he could create and manifest the idea of the wine, and that's what he and other people experienced. Does that make sense?
yes, most definitely. Yes.
All right.
I
And
think
then the last level is that of the wraith. This is very simple. This is a very high vibration. Not many humans will explore because it's really the idea of being partially spirit and partially human simultaneously. Now, of course, we are all spirit pretending to be human in this great stage, but the idea is that the wraith is as high of a vibration that the idea of a human can be before it's simply another idea. Does that kind of make sense? So these are people who do not have to eat, do not age, do not sleep. They can, again, because they've mastered everything else, change form at will and do often live multiple lives. There are very few of these people. There is a human on this planet living with us now that is over 1,000 years old. Well, Unity, why wouldn't they come out? They could get tons of money. Think about what we're talking about. Would they really care about anything like that? They also recognize at that level, not every experience, not every knowledge is necessary at this timing for every person. So
yep.
those who are a like vibration will meet them if they need to.
Wonderful. That's
Yes, of
beautiful, brother.
course.
Thank
That is
you.
my understanding of what people call magic.
I agree.
Well, thank you. Feel free to explore it if you wish.
Every day, brother. And whether I like it or not, like to or not, every day.
I
Did you say
apologize,
something, host?
fellas,
We couldn't hear
but I
you.
got a couple calls that are coming.
You're going in and out just a little bit. What did you say?
Me, Unity.
No, I think the host was saying something to us.
Hey, while I got a second, there's a bunch of calls that keep coming in repeatedly. I'm gonna go ahead and answer them. I don't know if it'll leave the live open or not, but
Okay. It seems like the live's still open, which is nice. Before the timing for my leaving is over, is there any way I may be of service to you or anyone in the comments?
I would like to know, what do I need to do in my next step?
You want me to tell you the secret?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Lean in real close. Shh, nobody can know. I want you to follow your highest excitement every moment that you can, taking it as far as you can till you can take it no further with absolutely no insistence or expectation on an outcome. Can you repeat that to me?
I can. I will go to my furthest experience without worrying about
That's not what I said, my friend.
please.
I'll repeat it. Act on your highest excitement. Act on your highest excitement every moment that you can, taking it as far as you can till you can take it no further with absolutely no insistence on an outcome. Can you repeat that to me?
I want to, and I'm just.
Go on, do it. No one's stopping you.
Can you help guide me a little bit?
Would you like me to repeat it again?
Please.
All right, it's a three-part process, three-part formula to excitement, to figuring out your life, as they say. Act on your highest excitement.
Act on my highest excitement.
Every moment that you can, taking it as far as you can.
Every moment that I can, take it in as far as I can.
Until you can take it no further.
Until I can take it no further.
With absolutely zero insistence on an outcome.
Without absolutely zero insistence on any outcome.
Thank you. Recognize when I say passion or excitement, I don't just mean the idea of a career. You understand how children live their lives. All they do is what's exciting to them when we allow them to. Everything is play, no matter what it is, when we allow them to truly be themselves. You have an infinite number of options after this live, yes? You could watch a movie, you could cook a meal, you could go out to eat, you could take a walk, you could read a book, you could work on whatever it is that you know you've been wanting to do but haven't been doing. Act on whatever feels the most exciting, whatever gives you a little smile that goes, oh yes, that would be kind of cool, and take that as far as the feeling goes. If it happens to be the idea of a career, well, I want to write a book, well, I want to open up a homeless shelter, but I need this, but I need, that's the insistence on how it should come. Simply act in the here now. So let's just say it's something that seems very unattainable to most people. Let's say that you are very young, like I am. Let's say you're 22, and you want to buy a nice house, have a nice car. Oh, that sounds so exciting. I would love to have my own land. I'd love to have the freedom to get around in that way. Well, many people would limit how that can come about by saying that money is the only way to attain those things. That's the way the world works. You'll recognize that's not how excitement works, my friends. That's a very limited definition of abundance. Abundance is the ability to do what you need to do when you need to do it. One form of abundance is money. Another form of abundance is communicating with someone like you are right now. People give gifts. Things happen, quote unquote, by coincidence. There are many ways in which things and opportunities can come to you in your life. Let's say that after this live, you are 22 and you want to buy a house. Oh, you have a job that you don't like. You know what? I'm going to try this guy's method. I'm going to go on a walk. So you go on a walk and you happen to bump into someone. And you start up a little conversation, nothing much. He asks you a few questions and he says, hey, you know what? I have this position in the retail business, just an example. I think you'd be a good assistant. Now, not only have you met someone who could probably eventually, should you take it as far as you can in the moments to come, get you some kind of discount or lead you with the information to make the best decision to make the house, that lets you attain more versions of abundance because you don't know who you'll meet during that job. You don't know what you'll actually attain other than money, and recognize money is just the cherry on top. Does this make some sense to you?
Yes, most definitely, brother. Most definitely. 100%.
Anything that you think is exciting to do that is passionate to you in whatever form it comes. You wake up in the morning and you want to have a joint, have a joint. You wake up in the morning and you want to cook something, cook something. And the next moment you want to read something, read something. You want to see a movie, see a movie. I promise you, no matter what it is that you want, acting on